What up, Bucs fans, NFL fans, and gambling fans? Welcome to Pewter Picks and Props, the Week 8 edition of the show. Last week, it was all specified about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as they had a Monday Night Football game in which they dropped to the Ravens, and there were even worse things that happened in that game with injuries to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. But we spoke to the people, and the people want us to go back to college football, NFL, and the Bucs game too. Bucs are hosting the Falcons in the Creamsicle game, which should be very, very exciting to watch. I'm your host, by the way, Matt Matera from PewterReport.com. Thank you all for joining me as you are watching it at whatever time you are tuning in on our YouTube channel, Pewter Report TV. So let's get into it, starting with college football. Some exciting games. We're starting off with a top 20 matchup and a Big Ten matchup. Starting off with Illinois at Oregon, going with Illinois plus 21.5 on the road against the Oregon Ducks. Oregon had the big win against Ohio State 2 weeks ago. They've been winning with their defense. Gabriel, they can score points, but they're not scoring an insane amount of points. Illinois, on the other hand, I think their offense has surprised a lot of people. They've only had one loss this year. That was at Penn State, where they lost 21-7. For the number one team and the 20th overall team to have a 3-touchdown difference, I think Illinois can score enough points to keep pace with Oregon, who, again, is led by their defense. And if they jump out to a lead, they're not going to air it out crazy. They're going to run it. So Illinois wants to make a statement on the road. They want to right the wrong that they had against Penn State. They're going to have the juice going up against the number one team. They're a fun team to watch. They've had some good road wins as well this year, beating Nebraska on the road. So with pretty matchup, that'll be even earlier because it's on the West Coast in Oregon. I'll take Illinois plus 21.5. I have the dogs barking this week, at least for 2 games in college football, because the next one of the most exciting teams in college football right now and playing for a college football playoff spot, Navy plus 13 at home against Notre Dame. The armed forces have been fantastic this year between Army, Navy, and Air Force. Navy's undefeated. They got an offense that can actually move the football. It's not just the triple option and the wing T and all that stuff. They're throwing it a little bit. This is one of the biggest games they've had in their, history of college football in at least the last decade, removing just the Army-Navy games because we know how important that is. Notre Dame is always known to choke. They choked earlier this year. I think they're due for another one. 2 teams that still want to be in the race for a playoff spot. This will put the dagger into Notre Dame if they lose this one. Everybody's rooting for Navy. Everybody's behind this team. Why not let the ride continue? So Navy plus 13. My final college football pick of the week. A night game, SEC matchup. Going to be a ton of fun. Texas A&M against LSU. Taking the home team in this one, Texas A&M minus 2.5. They have not lost since the season opener against Notre Dame. And same for LSU. They haven't lost since their season opener when they played USC. I think it's going to be a fun back and forth matchup. Texas A&M has a pretty stout defense, and that's why I'm taking them over LSU. Both teams can score points. LSU can let it fly, but their defense is way more susceptible to allowing points, to keeping Texas A&M in the game. So the fact that it's only 2.5, I think Texas A&M can win by 3 and use Kyle Field being the home team to their advantage with a pretty stout defense and offense that has vastly improved since the first month of the season. Very much looking forward to this one. I like the over as well, but my pick for this one, Texas A&M minus 2.5. All right, now that we have established everything for college football, let's move over to the NFL. We are starting off with a former Buccaneer, a polarizing former Buccaneer, quarterback Jameis Winston starting for the Browns this week, and people are going to be excited about it. So Browns +9 is the pick. They are hosting the Baltimore Ravens. Nobody is hotter than the Ravens right now, winning 5 or 6 in a row. They just beat the Buccaneers. However, eventually somebody has to stop their streak. This is a divisional game. I think the Browns are going to come in with juice because they got a new quarterback in. It obviously was a debacle with Deshaun Watson. He's out for the year. So James comes in, pumps a little life into that offense. Nick Chubb is back for another week. He started last week making his debut. So a little bit of that. The defense comes into form, and it being a home game for the Browns, I'll take them +9 at home. Another divisional matchup, this one in the AFC South. Colts going to the Texans, taking the under of 46. I'm just not a big fan of the Colts offense. I don't think Anthony Richardson is the guy. They don't have the comfort of being in Indianapolis, which will make it even tougher for them. The Texans have DeMeco Ryans head coach as a defensive guy. Will figure things out against the Colts. So this is more just the Colts not being able to do anything on offense than a close, low-scoring game. I also do like the Colts defense. I don't know why I said it like that. Defense a little bit against C.J. Stroud. He's still going to ball out, but the Texans aren't putting up insane numbers, and not having Nico Collins doesn't help either. So should be a good game. Texans will probably win. I'll go with the under of 46. My last NFL pick that doesn't revolve around the Bucs was trying to find a third one. Don't love all the lines this week, but I think this team might start finding momentum based on how they obliterated their opponent last week. Eagles +2.5 at the Bengals. Like I just mentioned, the Eagles decimated the Giants a week ago, and I know the Giants stink, but I think they found something on offense with just completely pouring every resource into Saquon Barkley. Now their receivers are healthy as well with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. And let's remember, as cool as Joe Burrow is, as great as the Bengals offense is, Cincinnati's defense absolutely stinks. They are porous, and every single game is an absolute shootout for the Bengals because their offense has to score every single time. I'm not in love with the Eagles' defense. However, they can get a stop or two to keep this game close and either win outright or force the Bengals and Joe Burrow to have a comeback play at the end when they're down and maybe kick a field goal to win. So with the points, Eagles +2.5 over the Bengals. Moving on to the main event, the Creamsicle game coming up for Bucs versus Falcons, a rematch of this really fun game a couple of weeks ago in Atlanta on Thursday night. It was fun for Falcons fans and NFL fans, maybe not necessarily for the Bucs. With that said, I think the Bucs get some revenge on Sunday, and even though the chips are down, they have an uphill battle without Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. I'm taking the Bucs +2.5 and the over of 46. The over is a no-brainer. The Bucs have hit it in their last 4. The Falcons have hit it in 3 of their last 4, including their last 3 NFC South games. That included the Thursday night game. And also, the Bucs defense is a mess right now. It's an absolute dumpster fire. They don't know what they're doing in coverage. Guys are being left wide open. So the over is a must play regardless of what Tampa Bay has on offense. And what they do have on offense, and why I think they're going to win this game or at least cover +2.5, is they have a great ground game. Bucky Irving is playing. That has been notified by Todd Bowles today. Sean Tucker's going to get more opportunities because Bucky Irving might be a little bit limited. And the receivers, Trey Palmer, Jalen McMillan, Sterling Shepard, there's no replacing Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. But these aren't nobodies. Sterling Shepard has done a really good job since the Bucs elevated him. He's winning a lot of one-on-one matchups. Liam Cohen is a great offensive coordinator. He's going to scheme things up to get these guys open because the biggest strength for the Bucs right now on their offense is their offensive line. They're getting a great push. They've been even better with Luke Gedeke back. Cody Mauch has been better. So they're going to get a great push. They're going to have the run game going, mix in some play action. And with the Falcons not really having much of a pass rush, that's going to give Baker Mayfield plenty of time to find a open receiver. And eventually a receiver will get open if Baker Mayfield can be a little patient, which I think he will be. I think he understands he's got to take what is given to him. So because of that, I like the Bucs plus 2.5 and hammering the over of 46. Now, the player props, this first one is a little interesting because you might be thinking, oh, well, they're going to run the ball a ton. They will, and they'll be successful, but I think they're going to be successful with Sean Tucker and Bucky Irving. I don't think they're going to be as successful with Rachaad White, who can still have an impact as a receiver, but I'm going with Rachaad White under 41.5 rushing yards. Now, his last game against the Falcons, he got over 50, but you have to remember he had one big chunk run, and that was about it. Besides that, he hasn't really gotten to 40 yards. I mean, he got 10-4-40 last game against the Ravens. Outside of that, it hasn't been the best running the football with Rachaad White. I think that's going to continue a little bit, and especially if you get more of the pony package, they're going to feed Bucky. They're going to feed Sean Tucker. Their stats are a little up and down right now as it pertains to their overall prop bets with rushing yards. That's why I'm staying away from it. But Rachaad White just not hitting that next gear yet as a runner. I think he might struggle a little bit. So I'll take the under 41.5 rushing yards. This next one, it's an auto play based on what happened in that Thursday night game. Kirk Cousins over 243.5 passing yards. He threw for over 500 passing yards against the Bucs. And yes, Antoine Winfield Jr. is back, and they have Kalijah Cansey on the defensive line. I don't think that matters with the coverage, the abysmal coverage that the Bucs have had. If he threw for over 500, he can get half of that this time around. So this is a must play just based on that Thursday game. Kirk Cousins over 243.5 passing yards. I'm also taking Kyle Pitts, the tight end, over 41.5 receiving yards because the Bucs can't cover the middle of the field. As much as we love Levante David, he's allowed the most receiving yards by any Bucs defender so far in this season, and KJ Britt is a liability in coverage. Kyle Pitts' last 3 games, he's gotten over this number, including against Tampa Bay. He's gotten over, I believe, 50 or 60 in each of the last 3 games. So another kind of auto play right then and there. Kyle Pitts over 41.5. My last prop bet before the touchdown, going with Bucs quarterback Baker Mayfield over 21.5 completions. While they'll still be able to run the ball, that doesn't mean they're not going to pass it any less, or they're just going to go away from it because they don't have Mike and Chris. That means there's going to be a lot more screens, which means completed passes. Screen, bam, right to the guy. They'll do it with the running back. They'll do it with Cade Otton. Because of the personnel they have, only Trey Palmer is going to be the deep ball guy, the deep shot down the field. Besides that, everything's going to be underneath to Sterling Shepard, to Jalen McMillan, Cade Otton underneath, swing passes to the running backs, just routes ran by the running backs are not going to be crazy, 30-yard plays down the field. Now, there might be some catches and runs, and if that's the case, great for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but Baker is going to have a lot more shorter plays, safe plays to make sure the ball is out, and then the Bucs can turn it up the field. So because of that, I am a big fan of over 21.5 completions for Baker Mayfield. My touchdown prop of the week, a guy that has a ton of chemistry with Baker Mayfield, a guy that had a 2-point conversion last week and has scored a touchdown. Sterling Shepard to score a touchdown. The odds are, I believe, plus 300 last time I checked. He's going to be wide receiver 1. He's going to get a lot of opportunities. Baker's going to trust him more than any of these other wide receivers that are on the roster at the moment. When you get to the red zone and you don't exactly know what to do, you go with someone that you trust, someone that you've spent a lot of time with. I know that was at Oklahoma, but they've hit it off pretty well considering the amount of playing time that Sterling Shepard has had. So, Sterling Shepard, anytime touchdown, book it. Those are my picks for the week. Appreciate everybody watching. You can follow me at Matty4_Matera. You can follow Pewter Report at Pewter Report. Going to be a fun week of football. Hopefully the Bucs can bounce back, especially wearing that Creamsicle jersey. Let's go out there, place your bets, and let's win some money. Out.